Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to be having a look at what could potentially be the savior of the science class in Marvel Contest of Champions, and I've spent the last 45 minutes doing the math, breaking down his abilities, seeing exactly the various percentage values and how his abilities scale up, and I feel like I've got a very well-rounded idea not only of what Void can achieve, but also the practicality of playing this character. My prediction is, early on, I want to make this, that I think Void is going to be a god-tier character for medium to long fights. I really think in the slower matchups, he is going to have a little bit of a disadvantage and not really be that great to use. But any fight that is above 30 to 60 seconds, I think he's going to have a really great time. You're just going to be able to demolish the opponent. You've got a ton of utility. But I think in those shorter fights, this character definitely has a little bit of ramp up in terms of the way that he functions. And also a thing about Void is he is, by the look of it, very heavily reliant on not only being awakened, but also having a very high signature level as well. So those are two things to keep in mind if you want to go for Void. But again, just as a standard disclaimer, despite what I say in this video, nobody has played the champion yet, nobody has tested him out. This is just kind of my observations from kind of looking at and breaking down all the numbers. So we're on uncollected difficulty at the moment. This is the most powerful stacked version of Void, and you'll see that he has 8,165 base attack. Now this is with a 150% attack multiplier, so his base attack is actually 3,266, which is one of my little concerns about Void. That seems quite low for a 6-star champion at rank 5, but again, I don't really have like a reference of scale for that, so it's a little bit hard to tell, but I think that's one of the things to potentially be aware of. I think because Void has so many abilities that increase his attack substantially, that he's going to have a very low base attack, which might not make him a rank 4 option for Labyrinth of Legends, and that's one of my initial concerns, but that's really the only big concern that I have with this dude. So his base attack is actually 3,266, and that's important to bear in mind for kind of the reference looking at the various values in these abilities. So yeah, let's talk about kind of the simple basics of like when it comes to playing Void. So every 10 seconds, Void's intimidating presence inflicts one random debuff on the opponent, and this is seen by a timer. Now, if one debuff is already active, this is actually increased to 14 seconds. So for the average person, it's one debuff every 14 seconds, but the signature ability actually allows you to generate these debuffs faster. So on this cheap level 206 star, it's a 60% increase in terms of the speed, so it brings it down from 14 seconds to 6 seconds. So yeah, that's interesting to keep in mind. Again, very important that this champion is awakened. And once all 6 of the intimidating presence debuffs are applied, if it's not awakened, they are removed. If he is awakened, then they are then converted into a passive called Fear of the Void, which gives all of the effects and also grants Void, I believe it's 135% of his base attack rating for 40 seconds, and this can stack twice. So this is up to 270% additional attack. So just absolutely huge, and you can have 2 of this, and it's also going to have all the Fear of the Void debuff effects, which we're going to talk about in a second. Also, as a passive, Void is fully immune to Incinerate effects, which makes him a fantastic Mephisto counter. And in terms of, playing the character, the 3 intimidating presence debuffs, you have agility, which reduces the ability accuracy of evade and the dexterity mastery by 30%, so this stacks 2 times up to 60%. Not a hugely reliable evade counter, but minus 60% chance to evade, very useful in certain matchups against Spider-Man. And I'm interested to see if with the Fear of the Void, if that allows you to get, like, if you have like 2 stacks of that, is that going to count as 120% ability accuracy reduction on the evade? Is it going to guarantee that chance there? It's one of the initial questions I have. The next one, fatigue, not very useful in any circumstance really. Maybe as a defender if people are not aware of how to cleanse Void. Reduces crit rating by a huge amount. And then finally the one which I think has piqued a lot of interest, which is the Petrify debuff, which reduces the effectiveness of power gain and regeneration by 50%. And I think the wording seems a little bit weird on this one, and I'm not really too sure if it applies to like all power gain or just like stuff like power gain buffs and Mystic Dispersion. But yeah, I'm interested to see how that functions, because if that's 100% power gain reduction and 100% regen block, and you can have that active 100% of the time once you're, you know, really into the fight when the champion's awakened, that seems pretty good. But I can also see in certain scenarios it having its disadvantages as well. Like for example, Labyrinth of Legends. On a lot of fights it's very easy just to bait the special one and then avoid that, like on Red Hulk or Star-Lord. But, you know, if you're really good at playing the character, you can overcome that via being an intercepting god. But that's just, you know, a potential disadvantage of having 100% power gain reduction up all the time. But there will be scenarios and matchups like Magic where this is just an absolute godsend, you know, in regards to stuff like Labyrinth of Legends, if that does function in the way that I believe so. And also, as well as having these effects, for each unique debuff on the opponent, they take damage equal, in this scenario, on the 6-star fully maxed out one, to 10% of Void's attack every second. And you can ramp up this attack again by 270% just via the Awakened ability. We haven't begun to talk about the synergies yet and the additional potential there. But yeah, it looks like that could be absolutely crazy, because there are various scenarios, and I assume this probably synergizes with stuff like parry as well. You're going to have additional damage on your parry. You have, I believe it's 6 unique debuffs in total, so you've got the free here. I assume Fear of the Void is also a unique debuff as well, and then you have 2 additional debuffs via the special attack too, and then you also have parry, so that's a total of a possibility of 7 unique debuffs. So yeah, quite interesting stuff. But I'd say for the majority of the time, it looks like you are going to have a essential line of damage to your opponent that is most likely dealing, I would assume, between 40 to 60% of your direct damage every second. And again, this is going to scale up fantastically with the attack bonuses on the character. So some pretty interesting stuff there. And then when we talk about what special attacks do, so the special attack 1, I think when you go into any fight, the initial goal is to get to 2 stacks of intimidating, you know, the Fear of the Void, and then maintain that. So I assume it's going to be like get into the attack, special 1, and just keep on like spamming those off until you can, you know, enter your Super Saiyan God mode with the additional attack and get 2 stacks of that. And then I think the strategy becomes a little bit of an interesting one. I think it's mainly spam the special 2 until you can get both the weakness and degeneration, but use the special 2 right before you're about to go to the special 3 so that you can build up, because the debuffs on the special attack 2, which inflicts 2 dark stings, so kind of like Yellow Jacket, each lasting for 12 seconds. An opponent with a Dark Sting gains a weakness or degeneration debuff per sting when activating a special attack. So yeah, the weakness reduces attack rating, and the degeneration is 160% of Void's attack over 20 seconds. Again, that's going to scale up so well, and both of these debuffs, like both of them can trigger because it's 2 stacks. So yeah, that could be insane. If you get like double degeneration or just 1 degeneration and 1 weakness, is going to be absolutely fantastic. So yeah, I think the strategy is maybe like use the special 2 right before you're going to the special 3, because then once you've got all of the debuffs on and, you know, your opponent is just getting absolutely minced, they're getting roasted, they're dying so quickly from, you know, you hitting like an absolute god, them taking a crazy amount of damage over time, that's when you want to build up to the special 3 and just demolish the opponent when they have 5+ unique debuffs, provide a plus 250% Fury passive, combined with the huge amount of attack bonus from the signature ability. I reckon we are going to see some phenomenal stuff from Void's special 3. When you can get +5 unique debuffs, but you're going to have to play very aggressively for that. And I think if the power lock, you know, is 100%, then it's really going to, allow you to control the opponent if you're very good at intercepting and you have a very high skill level. So yeah, I'm super excited for that. I reckon there's going to be so much much damage potential with this character. Again, fantastic utility in terms of removing power, reducing evade, removing healing, and also incinerate immunity as well. There seems like there's so much that this champion can bring to the table, but I feel like for shorter fights, it's really gonna take like a minute or two before you get into the big chunk of Void's damage. So this champion, he definitely has ramp up, which, you know, I think is fair, it's balanced. I think he's going to be a really interesting option for stuff like Labyrinth of Legends and Realm of Legends, but I think as we start to see Void gameplay videos, it's just very important to acknowledge the fact that this champion has ramp up and he takes time to get into his damage. But yeah, really hope that he's not another Sentry and he really pays off. But I think from looking at the early abilities, you know, a lot of people, including myself, are very excited about this champion. And then I want to talk quickly about the synergies of this character and why I like them in comparison to Sentry, because Sentry's one is just like, you know, you have to have the Void synergy or the character really sucks from what we've seen early on. But there are 3 synergies that Void has. So he has Engulfed by the Void, and this is the one with Sentry. So when activating his special 3, the Void gains a reality warp charge for 30 seconds, increasing the duration of any Fury buffs activated afterwards by 20 seconds. And he doesn't have any Fury effects, but the way that he gains Fury is with a synergy that he has. You know, I'm taking this information here from the early data mine abilities. This is going to be the synergy with, apparently, Hulk, Gripped by Fear. So when charging heavy attacks, Void can gain up to 3 Fury buffs, each enhancing his attack by 20% for 8 seconds. And again, if you have the Sentry, this is going to be increased up to 20 seconds there. So, yeah, that seems like it's going to be nice if you can pair them with both Sentry and Hulk to gain this additional way to play him where you can parry and then probably throw in a heavy attack. I'm not really too sure overall how much more effective that can be. I think if you can do it at the right time, there's definitely a damage increase to be taken there. But yeah, I'm not too sure overall like how effective that is, but that's essentially like, you know, a potential of, on top of the 270% attack bonus at max dupe level, as I assume both a 5 and 6 star champion, also an additional plus 60% attack. So yeah, I imagine it's probably going to be worthwhile throwing that one into the mix. And there's also one more synergy that, from the early data mined abilities that isn't on one of the nodes in the event quest, and this is the one with any Avengers-based character. So the synergy that he provides back to Hulk is Hulk gains 1 bar of power when below a certain percentage health, but the Avengers one, Void, Fear of the Void activates at the start of the fight for a certain amount of seconds, I assume 40 seconds, against any Avenger. So in certain scenarios and matchups, I'm kind of thinking, I don't know if Ant-Man is tagged as an Avenger, but I don't know, I'm trying to think of like specific Avengers, but nobody's coming to mind at the moment. But if there is a very annoying Avengers character, which I assume with the Infinity War and Summer coming up, there are probably going to be a few more characters under the Avengers tag coming into the game, that this might be a very interesting synergy, because they'll start with Fear of the Void, a ton of damage, all of the debuffs on the opponent just be absolutely able to rinse them, and the Avengers one gives Avengers a percentage chance to shrug off debuffs and become unstoppable for 3 seconds. So again, this could be amazing at fighting fellow Voids if people don't know how to fight him, and also very good at fighting Icemen. So yeah, that seems like a very interesting synergy with the Avengers. I think Void, you know, he has so much potential. There's a lot of stuff that I really like about the champion. I like that the synergy with other characters, it doesn't seem to be dominant in terms of like you need this synergy or your character's absolutely crap. But you know, we're gonna have to test out Void. We're gonna have to see exactly how good he is. But I assume with the content creator program, hopefully we'll get early access to Void so we can have a little bit of a look and dive into some of the potential of this character. But overall, very exciting. I feel like this champion, in my opinion, is easily gonna be god tier for medium to long fights. Again, the shorter ones, The presence, I don't know if it's going to ramp up quick enough to make him too effective in a Alliance War, Alliance Quest, but maybe if you have him a very, very high signature level, then he's going to be good. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, watch this space. We'll wait and see. Hopefully we can get some Void gameplay up, maybe not next week, but the early week after via the Content Creator Program. Anyway, let me know what you think of Void and some of the early abilities in the comments below. Apart from that, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.